The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. This week on the show...
One badge, two badge, Penny and dime.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Film Addicts podcast. I'm here with Addy. What's going on, mate?
Your soul is forfeit!
My soul is forfeit? Jesus Christ. It's a dark way to start. Why? What have I done?
I'm sorry. I had nothing at the end of the previous one, so I felt bad.
Yeah, we're bumping up these episodes back to back. We're doing the back to the back on our records here, and yeah, Addy fucked up the outro, so we just left it in. Your soul is forfeit is a weird one to do, even for Daredevil, because it's not from Daredevil, is it?
It's not. I'm pretty sure it's from like a D&D game from like 10 years ago.
It sounds Mortal Kombat-ish to me.
But yeah,
it
it probably is. Also,
Yeah.
It wasn't directed to you. It was like Matt's soul is forfeit.
Yeah, well, I mean that's certainly the way that things are going. With the Dark Star and all the supernatural shit that's going on with the hand. Is it dark? No, the black
The Black Sky.
Black Sky, Dark Star. Shut the fuck up, Riggs. Proper idiot. The Black Sky and the hand that's going on here, and the pit that never ends kind of thing, which plays into Defenders. But more importantly, how are you? What did you do in the last 9 minutes while I fed my cats and made a cup of tea?
Oh, I finished my tea and and went for a wee.
Amazing. See, everybody, we're just like you. We're just normal human people. We do poos and wees. That's all we do. We eat food and convert it to poo. Okay, so I suppose we could just try to get into some stuff because whatever. We'll catch up on some other things that what have we been watching in what we do? What are we watching?
Yeah, what are we watching?
What are we watching? What are we
Watching!
So what are we watching that we didn't talk about when we recorded an hour ago? I had a couple of other things as well. I'll go first this time. I rewatched Deadpool 1 and 2 after the release of the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, which is the most viewed trailer of all time, apparently. Incredible.
That's cool.
That movie's going to make $1 billion fucking dollars.
It has to. It's got mutants again.
Yeah. And it's also, everyone's been waiting for Deadpool. Hugh Jackman's back. Those movies hold up really well, especially the first one. I like the second one, but it's kind of treading the same water. But there's some really good jokes in it, like, in the words of Beyonce, please stop cheating on me. Like that's just gold. And also where he's talking about the first film making nearly $1 billion, and we did nearly as good as Passion of the Christ. And he turns to the camera and goes, "This is me. This is Passion of the Christ. They beat us domestically, but not overseas where they don't have Jesus." It's like, I don't know. It tickles me. I like the character more when the mask is on. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think it's funnier. I love Colossus. I love Juggernaut in the second one, and all that stuff. It was just kind of the first one feels like less is more. The first one has a villain problem and some other stuff, but they're just going all out, and it was so well put together. Like, yeah, I dig it a lot. The other thing I saw was a film called Dazed and Confused.
Oh yeah.
Directed by Richard Linklater. Matthew McConaughey's first picture. I just listened to his biography, Green Lights, which is really good actually. If you're interested in sort of it is a biography, and he talks about his history, but it's also kind of like a self-help book, specifically for men in a lot of ways. Or, well, not men, but people. It's for the masculine. You can be a woman and listen to it and take away stuff, or you can be a person non-binary or of any gender and listen to it and get something out of it. But for me, as a man, a person who identifies as a man, it had a real masculine quality to it that I was able to hook into, which is great. He's just a good storyteller, got a great voice. Yeah, very, very cool. But he was talking about Dazed and Confused being his first film, and so I went back and watched it, and fuck, it holds up. It's just like this crazy one crazy night romp movie about the last day of school in the early 1970s for these students, and the seniors leaving and the juniors coming into high school and all that entails. And it's got a great cast. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey, Ben Affleck's in it, Adam Goldberg. Really, really great. And it was so funny. There was a scene where they're all standing around in a pool hall, just playing pool and drinking beer. No one was on their phone. It was fucking bliss. I swear to God, if I had a time machine, it could only go in one direction. It would be into the past. I'm not interested in the future. I'm happy to go back and check some stuff out, I don't think the future holds much for me. The other thing I watched, and I mentioned briefly in the last episode, was me and my sister-in-law Alex went to see the Groundhog Day musical, and went to a really good pizzeria beforehand. Fucking amazing vegan pizza. It was really good. Anyway, the musical is incredible. It's so good. Tim Minchin, just one of the most talented Aussie exports we've got. I love Groundhog Day. It's one of my favorite movies. It's probably an episode actually that we'll do one day. And Bill Murray's so great in it. But the guy who played Phil in this was he reminded me more of Nathan Fillion, really handsome dude, and just a great performer. Again, those Texas switches of getting him in and out of scenes and whatnot, and just the whole turning that story into a musical. It's perfect. It's pitch perfect. Like Beetlejuice the musical, maybe okay. Back to the Future, probably not. Like I know that they are things, but Groundhog Day really does lend itself to that format. And I loved it. Go and see it if you're in Melbourne or wherever it happens to be. But if you're in Melbourne at the moment, check it out. You can get cheap tickets, during the week. Our tickets were like $50 and the seats were amazing. So enjoy yourselves, friends. What are you been watching? It was a long one.
Yeah. I do not know that those are Back to the Future musical. That sounds not great.
Yes. Some friends of mine saw it in Europe. Yeah, I mean, it might be great. I don't know, but I don't think Back to the Future lends itself to musicality the way that Groundhog Day does, because Groundhog Day it's a film in a bottle because it's only one location, which is very stage production.
Cool. It's also very no budget filmmaking.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and it's interesting when you see the making of it, of like how they would have to film the same scene like 3 or 4 times in a row, but have it be different days. So first it starts with Bill Murray getting upset that he's run into Ned Ryerson, then it's him being smug, then it's him punching him in the face, and then it's him being really sweet and kind to him. Like, you had to run the gamut and put it in at different points in the movie. But, they have the benefit of doing that when it's a stage production. But, yeah, really, really great.
Right. Then I'll probably watch it.
You should. It's a great film. And the musical is great. So I'm a real sucker for musicals, though. I'm, like, in the bag no matter what it is. I just enjoy them so much.
You know what? I'm in the same boat. Musicals are fucking great.
They're a good time, It's real unreality, and I dig that.
Yeah, and like every musical is part of this history of medium that's now film. Every time I watch a musical, I feel part of it. It's fucking beautiful.
It's very... I don't think about anything else when it's on. And what have you been watching? What you didn't mention before?
I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Netflix live-action adaptation.
You and Juan and Kike were talking about that in the group chat.
It's a live-action adaptation of an amazing animated show made by Netflix.
Okay, that doesn't sound great.
Yeah, I think I was a bit harsh because I adored the last 3 episodes, and I called myself out on it because I was like, if the end of the season worked, that means there was something there that worked before. So I have to recheck myself and kind of watch it again. But there were parts of it where I could just, oh god, it was it was hard to watch because I love that. Like, I grew up on that show. Like, that show came out in 2005, and I watched every single second of it. And I watched it a lot during the pandemic because of just like the themes of the show.
Yeah. And
then I got my brother to watch it, and then we watched the sequel show together.
The secret is Legend of Korra?
Yeah. the sequels, Legend of Korra. There were interesting creative choices. I hated everything that was shot on the volume, because like the spirit of the show is very like, it's exploration and acceptance and appreciation of new cultures as you like travel around the world, and they shot most of it on the volume, and like it feels a lot claustrophobic because you have to like cut to one reaction shot to the other, because you can't show all the characters, and like you can't pan it because the screen won't follow. And just there were a lot of things. I might like write something about it, because there were things that actually annoyed me a lot. But yeah, it's an adaptation.
Okay. All right. Well, it's one thing to one person is not something for another, so that's totally cool. What else? Or do we talk about them all?
I watched X2 and some episodes of X-Men the animated series.
Yeah, well, that happened too. The trailer for the new the continuation of that X-Men 97 came out, and everyone lost their fucking minds, either positively or negatively.
Oh God, yeah.
I can't do the internet anymore. It's just it's fucking. I mean, it's always been a den of nonsense, but it's just like, it's a fucking X-Men cartoon.
Yeah.
Woke. What are you talking about? Like, why? Because it's got some people of color in it. Is that the problem?
No, the news about Morph came out, right? And that's
about being non-binary.
Yeah. And so,
well, of course, it makes perfect sense to the character, for fuck's sake. Like, they are a person who can fucking transform into other people and other sexes and trees and shit. And like, do you know what I mean? Like, it makes perfect sense for that character. We gotta live in the real world, everyone. We're all here. We all deserve representation, for fuck's sake. God, I tire of these folk. I really, really do. Anyway, they don't listen to our show. Doesn't matter. Yeah, so you watched some episodes with any in particular, or?
Yeah, just like the Morph one, because yeah, and I started the Phoenix Saga, but I like there was a mix mash between like season 2 episodes and season 3 episodes, so I couldn't get the continuity of it.
Yeah, it really does have a strong continuity. You can't just drop in. There's a huge section there where fucking, Eric and Charles are stuck in the Savage Land, and they neither of them have powers, and Charles can walk. Like, if you just start watching that, you're like, what the fuck? This isn't what's up.
Yeah, you see, because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I was like, one scene I was in a date with I was watching Scott Summers and Jean Grey on a date, and suddenly I had fucking Charles Xavier walking. I was like, huh?
Hang on a minute. I've missed something here.
And something really weird happened with like Daredevil season 2 as well that we'll talk about.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I've been rewatching it a bit myself. The episode where Wolverine goes looking for Morph and ends up running into Alpha Flight is pretty baller. I dig that a lot. So yeah, it's a good show. Should head back to it. And it also prompted Addie to be like, look, I know we did our X-Men 3 episodes, but we've got to do a dedicated X2 episode, and I think that'll be coming down the line soon, because we love it so much. Even though it was directed by a human piece of shit, it's still a great picture. So is that all you watched?
Yeah.
That's okay. We've got some nerd news we can get into.
Oh shit! This.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
One more thing. This is
that's cool.
Really nerdy. Like, I don't even know if we have the same demographic of fans that would like actually understand what I'm gonna say. So
this thing is like really esoteric, or it's just not something, a show that people watch, or I don't get it.
The odds of someone from that fandom being like listening to the show is wild, at least to me.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, I hope there are then. I hope we get a big bunch of people going, hey, I love that show.
So yeah, okay. So the show is campaign 2 of Critical Role, called The Mighty Nine, and 9 as in the German for no.
Okay.
So yeah, that's that's 146 episodes, each episode for 3 hours 40 minutes, and
Wow.
last episode is 7 hours. Anyway, I've watched that campaign twice.
Okay. That's cool.
But a friend of mine like really got into it. So like I was really happy because I don't have a lot of people IRL who are into D&D. So we were just talking, and they said, "How about you watch it with me?" And like it was dangerously instant how I said yes. And so we've been watching it together.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we're still at episode 3, and but yeah, it's fun to like share those things with share the things you love with the people you love.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And also, I would be really interested. Is there anybody out there who watches Critical Role? Hit us up and let us know. Wonderful. Well, let's get into a little bit of news before we start talking about fucking Frank's being in town. Just some of the most baller shit you'll ever see. God, Marvel cast the shit out of this show. Anyway, here's some nerd news. And here we are, just a couple of quick news. Number one, this one made me really angry. Disney reportedly stopped over 20 4K remasters of Fox classics from being released. Disney is not interested in 4K disc media because they have a platform that streams in 4K. So they don't think they're going to make any money of it, which is why you can't get Dial of Destiny on 4K in Australia. They're just not interested in doing that, and they don't do big releases on most of their stuff. If it doesn't do well at the box office, they don't do it, which is fucking stupid. But the report says that a bunch of classics, one of which was Fight Club, is not getting a 4K release. Dudes, do small runs and realize that some people out there are collectors in the way that other people collect things like, and also it's going to end up being like records. At some point, everyone's going to get really frustrated with streaming and they're going to want disc media again. So pull your fucking heads out. Fucking wankers. I love disc media. The 4K of Jaws is exceptional. It's so well remastered. The colors are so rich. The depth is incredible. The clarity is incredible. You can see things you never were looking for. Like the brand of soup that Quint has in his home and on the boat. Like you can see what the brand is. It's just you can't beat it. I mean, I know there's better formats like IMAX and shit is like 18K or whatever, but for home cinemas, it's got to be done. Next one, an animated film with Spider-Man's villains as the lead is currently in develop at Sony, according to Daniel RPK, who's an insider. I don't know what that means, but anyway, it's in the works at Sony. It'll have reportedly feature various villains as leads, including Sandman, other ones. I don't know if you can do like these sort of ones like the Madam Webs and the Cravens and all that, the ones that are only tangentially related to Spider-Man kind of work. I feel like if you put a bunch of villains in a Spider-Man movie and Spider-Man's not in it, but I guess maybe that's why they're making it animated. Are they allowed to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Sony Animation would be.
Yeah, they can use Spider-Man, the actual Spider-Man.
Yeah, because they have Peter Parker and Miles in the Spider-Verse films.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what the situation is now because I know that the Spider-Verse is its own thing. It's very particular, and maybe that's not how it works. I don't really know. Anyway, it's good that you mentioned that though, because Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige have plans to introduce live-action Miles Morales in Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland.
Too soon.
Too soon? Too soon after, what is it? A Spider-Verse? Is that the problem?
No, too soon after No Way Home.
What do you think that there should be a few... Well, you've talked about this. You've said that there should be another threequel, and that the last one is, well, the second one is when the reins will get handed over, and then the last film is Miles's film. Yes.
Yeah, like, okay. Yes, I did, because I was working on a thing that I can't now because Silk was in production and now it's not, which means I can't even work on it as a fan project.
Son of a bitch!
Yeah.
Shit! Fist! I said fisk.
Balls.
Balls. Titty balls. Bottoms. Fucking, this is just a podcast evolving into me just saying weird words. Rude ones. Sorry. What you were saying.
Xavier's chair has a dildo. What?
Xavier's chair has a huge fucking dildo on it. Oh. Hello, Logan. Come in. I'm balls deep. Just stand there and look at me. Anyway, keep going.
Right.
So you think it's too soon? Was what you were trying to say?
Yeah. Because we just got Peter being Spider-Man for the first time, like actual Spider-Man, like swinging through New York.
Yeah, it was like, oh my god, this is kind of the movie we wanted it to be the whole time.
Yeah, like remember how Marvel said that they were not going to do the origin story for Peter Parker, yet they did all that in 3 movies?
Mm.
My original pitch, which I think is still on Instagram, was it doesn't hold up because in that May is still alive, or like for some parts May is still alive and Happy is like looking after Peter, but the other way around, Peter's looking after Harry. Peter's looking after Happy. I say Harry, but my pitch was we have one great Spider-Man film, hopefully, in like a trilogy of like Peter Parker movies, but like without all the madness that comes with like the MCU shit, like the Amazing Spider-Man films. And in the second one, we introduce Miles, and he's already bitten by the spider, and we start this buddy relationship in the second film, in like Act 2 or Act 3, and the entirety of the third film is Peter's last swing, and by the end of it, we have Peter dying in Miles' arms.
I think they're kind of anxious to capitalize on the popularity of the character because of Spider-Verse, and I mean that's a business decision, and it probably works. But I mean, I'm just happy if we get him, honestly, because we've talked about it before. Like, that character is the future of the Spider-Man lore. Like, it really should be. Peter Parker's been the main Spider-Man for 60 years at this point, longer even. I think it's time. It's more representative. It's more interesting, that his struggles and also I love the end of Into the Spider-Verse where he's like, I'm so fucking powerful, you're all not ready. Like, to end with that confidence, and then all of a sudden he's in a parallel dimension. Like, just, yeah, so cool. But anyway, I guess we'll see if that happens. You know what else we might see happen in the Spider-Man 4? You might get yourself a little bit of Daredevil. Is the rumor that he might pop in that, and maybe a little Wilson Fisk. But in the meantime, we can go and watch Daredevil season 2 and get everything that we want from that. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about season 2. It's going to be pretty Punisher-centric because holy shit, what an amazing introduction to that character. There were 3 versions of Punisher before this. There was Dolph Lundgren in a film that was made in the late 80s, early 90s. It was the Punisher. Dolph Lundgren dyed his hair black and was shot in Australia, was shot in Sydney, and he doesn't have the skull on his chest. It's a perfectly good 80s sort of action romp. Great. Early 2000s, after the success of the X-Men and Spider-Man, Marvel was going around selling all of its products, to directors and writers to come on board. They hired Jonathan Hensley to come on board and write and direct a version with Thomas Jane. But because the budget was so low, they had to move it to Tampa. He ended up only having a son as opposed to having Frank Jr. and a daughter as well. They were killed by the Saints. Like, it was a whole big thing. It wasn't this sort of big conspiracy about Frank's time in Iraq or Afghanistan and all that. It was very, very simple. I kind of like that movie. I think Thomas Jane's great as Frank. I think he's really good. They also made one called Warzone with Ray Stevenson, R.I.P. And I dig that one too. It's hyper violent. It does the villains in it are a bit weird. It's Jigsaw, and they do Jigsaw a little bit better in the TV series Punisher, which is long-winded and overwritten, but Bernthal's great in it. And then when they announced John Bernthal, who's one of my favorite actors, as Frank Castle for this series, I was totally in the bag, and it did not disappoint. It is such a great introduction to this character, and he's just full on there. His family's been killed. He was in the military. He is just punishing straight out the gate, and it's the perfect dichotomy to Daredevil's hero, because he is everything Frank is without the murderous intent. It's that great scene when they're on the rooftop together, and he's like, when you hit guys, they get back up. When I hit him, they stay down. Like, that's his whole argument. And there's that beautiful scene when Frank's on trial and Matt's defending him, and he's saying, do we need people like Frank Castle? Are they important? And you see Frank realize that he's Daredevil. He's like, oh shit. And then that forces Frank to go, I'd do it all again. I fucking love it. I fucking love killing motherfuckers. They deserved it. And you can do whatever you want. I'll be the Punisher. I'm your Punisher. I'm the Punisher right here. Like, so ballsy. Anyway, amazing season of TV. It's probably my favorite of the three. How do you feel about it after watching it for the first time?
My review of every episode for Daredevil is this is one of the best television. This is one of the best episodes of television ever made, and then by the end, I just write, this is one of the best shows ever made.
It is, yeah. What are you going to do about it?
But I love season 2 for everything that is Frank Castle, and I dislike parts of it for everything that's the Hand.
Yeah, it does. It's jockeying for position in, like, story wise a lot, and you've got the really great addition of Elektra, because it gives, especially after sort of Foggy becomes disenfranchised with Matt, because he's never there. Like, they're trying to. Foggy doesn't want to defend Frank, and he believes Frank is a murderer, and through the prism of his own experience, Matt is looking at Frank and going, well, this could be me. I have that. That he was constantly in a battle with himself about, Wilson, do I need to kill this man in order to win, kind of situation. And yet Frank just does it without even thinking. And it's not about his military service. It's not about his family was murdered. He has nothing to lose, whereas Matt does. But you do have, the fantastic addition of Elektra Natchios. I don't want to get this name wrong. Elodie Young is the actress. I think she's a really good addition to that. She's great at pulling out stuff from Matt that we haven't seen before. Like, he already loved her. Like, we're watching him fall in love with Karen, but he already loved Elektra. So that's an interesting relationship. What is it about the Hand story you don't like?
It has a little more to do with, like, the Defender stuff as well, but, like...
Yeah, they were busy setting that up in the season.
Like,
and it was,
a lot.
Yeah. And you didn't need to.
True, but also, like the Hand stuff is complicated because, like, so much of it is like they're pushing it as a mystery, but then, like, it doesn't pay off in Defenders, because then you go into Defenders and it's a completely different kind of Hand. It
didn't have the cohesiveness that the first season had. It kind of, like, it is setting. It's the problem that Marvel has. It's always like throwing a ball for the next movie to catch, kind of thing. And they were trying to set up the Defenders, whereas it should have been its own thing, and then the Defenders could have been its own thing as well, and separate those two. I think having Stick come back, and you just see him in in Japan, and he fucking murks that dude in the building, and then goes down the lift and stuff. Having him come back and having him want to kill Elektra, and having Matt choose her is really important for him. It gets him to a place where he can reveal himself to Karen. I think that his vulnerability is tested to the point where his ego is destroyed, and he realizes that her not knowing is making the job harder. Even after the law firm shuts down and Foggy goes to work for with his ex at the law firm and all that stuff, it's really about the breaking down of the character of Daredevil and him realizing that they're both the same thing, as opposed to Daredevil is what I become when I put the mask on, and Matt is who I am when I take it off. But they're both. He's not Superman. He's not pretending to be something else. He's always Matt. You know.
Also, just to go back to your point, when Frank realizes that Matt is Daredevil, he doesn't see Matt saying that stuff. He sees Daredevil like fucking acknowledging and like agreeing with his methods, which there was the Fisk influence, but like that's what pushes him on that path of, if I had the chance, I'd do it all again.
Yeah, and he says it when Frank gets taken, and it's so brutal. He gets his fucking feet and hands drilled when he gets kidnapped. Like, it's a really brutal season of TV, and it had to be. Like, Frank Castle is a serial murderer. Let's not make no qualms about it. I dig the character a lot. Like, I really like the Punisher. I love the comics. I love the story. But he is a serial murderer, sociopathic in his coldness, But he is only after villainy, obviously. But you have to up the stakes. You have to push that MA rating, and Netflix did it. Netflix had the balls to go, no, this is an adult show. This is a character who, completely wipes out systematically groups of organized crime. He takes out the bikers at the start. And the great thing about him too, you don't see him until I think it's the end of the second episode. It's just called Bang. Or is it the end of the first episode? No,
Bang is first episode.
It's the first episode, yeah.
You see him in the hospital.
Yeah. But briefly, he just sort of coming down this. He hasn't said anything yet, and then he shoots Daredevil in the fucking head. Like, talk about a way to introduce your character as a threat, and then having him have that conversation with Matt, and he's just sitting there drinking the coffee, and no, this is what it is. Like, whatever your stuff is, like whatever your trauma is, or the Catholic thing that you go into, or whatever you're talking about, Daredevil, I'm Frank Castle and I'm doing the right thing, and he cannot be dissuaded. Even in his own show, he doesn't really do that. He never questions what he's doing. It's the mission. It's always the mission. And the guy who's going to play Thing in the Fantastic Four show, Ebon Moss, or what his name is, he plays Microchip in that, and they have a really interesting relationship, because Microchip's, again, he's like, my family was taken from me too. They're not dead. He's had to distance himself from them and make them think that he was dead because he's being hunted by the government. And he's like, I want to kill them all too. Like, that's the deal that we have together. But with Frank and Matt, they're two sides of the same coin, in a very real way.
His line of, you think you're better than me, but you're just one bad day away from being me.
Exactly. I mean, that's a Joker line as well. I'm sure the Joker said that to Batman, but with Frank, he's such an interesting character, especially the way that Bernthal plays him, because there's so much depth to a character like that who is so black and white. And yet you see the versions of him throughout it, where he's mission orientated. He's going into that pawn shop, the military shop, and he's like, I need a radio that can pick up police scanners. And he's like, gives it to him. He's like, yeah, cool. And he walks away and he's like, oh, I've got some pornography. She's the girl and it's barely 13. And he stops dead and locks the door and walks back. And you don't see what happens, but you know what happens. Like, he's like, oh, this is my opportunity. Say nothing. The stillness that Bernthal has, the physical. I forgot how fucking horrifying and scary they make the Punisher in those first few episodes before you get to know him properly. Or before Karen gets to know him properly, really. Like, she's out into him. Like, why did this happen to him? And it's definitely, it's the point where he's been kidnapped. Matt comes and rescues him. They're in the graveyard and he's leaning against the grave, and he tells a story about his daughter wanting to read the book. It was her favorite book, and he was tired and didn't want to do it. And then the next day he couldn't do it because she was gone. Like, that's where you see who Frank Castle is, and that's where you get to him. And Bernthal just pitch perfect. Absolutely pitch perfect. He changes his voice. Like, if you hear him talk, he's got quite a high voice. He sounds more like me, but with an American accent. But he just, and he becomes it. He's feral, like he's like a gargoyle. I dig it so much. I wish his series had been better, the solo series, but it's just, if they'd have based it on Welcome Back, Frank, the Garth Ennis book that was done in the 90s, it would have been really good.
I wish that they would have had him in Defenders and in season 3, because like their dynamic, especially after season 2, would have been so good to like go back to, because Punisher doesn't fuck with Daredevil at all, but by the end of it, he has mutual respect.
Yeah, especially because the moment that you kind of see it happen, like Frank has an understanding of what happened to his family, why it happened. He has the altercation with Kingpin in the jail, which is really great. Where he's like, I can't be bought, and that you're just used to being able to buy everybody kind of situation. And yeah, he's on that rooftop and Matt's fighting Nobu, and he just starts taking out ninjas for him, just left and right after Elektra gets hurt. Go get him, Red. That's straight from the books. Like, they have a really incredible relationship in the books. During Brian Michael Bendis' run on Daredevil, Matt was outed as being Daredevil, and he fought it in prison and fought it in prison. He fought it in court, and he actually had the Danny Rand, the guy who is Iron Fist, dress up as Daredevil and go out and fight crime and stuff and try and do that. But he ended up in prison anyway. Frank hands himself in to the police in order to be put in prison so that he can help Matt break out. It's fucking amazing. You know what I mean? This could be the future for these characters. He's gonna be in Born Again. It's the possibilities are really endless for them. As far as the hand stuff goes, yeah, the supernatural kind of comes in and whatnot, and you have the relationship between Stick and Elektra and Matt, and that takes center stage. Whereas Foggy and Karen becomes an investigative reporter. I love that part a lot, because there's something about people in superhero universes being big reporters that hits hard. Yeah, absolutely, and it should, because those things don't exist anymore. Journalism isn't about that anymore, And she's trying to find out what happened to Frank. Why was he there? Why was his family there? And you find out later on down the line it was all orchestrated by the people who Frank worked for when he was in Afghanistan, and it was about drug trade. And you see that kind of transpire. But it all, Karen is the one she's got the great scene with Frank when he's in the hospital bed, and everyone else is afraid of him. Don't cross the tape, they say to her. And yet we know that Frank has a purity and means he wouldn't hurt an innocent person. And he says it to her, he's like, you were never in danger. He's like, I fucking felt like I was. And he's like, I knew what I was doing. Do you know what a scout sniper is? When we pull the trigger, we don't miss. If I wanted to hit you, I would have hit you, and I love that. The broadness of the character to be so vulnerable and so sure of his capability, his ability to kill, is the only thing he's ever been good at. He wasn't a good husband, he wasn't a good father, but he was a good merc, I really appreciate that because he could be really one-dimensional. They could have made him the series villain, especially in a time where, if you think about it, during it happens every other fucking day in the States, but there was a lot of, Sandy Hook was the year this came out. A lot of mass shootings go on, the gun porn of it, and the kind of the. There's a lot of people who use the Punisher symbol in the wrong way. That hunters have it on their cars, and you're missing the point. Police officers in New York have it on their arms and stuff. It's guys, that's not it. We're looking at this guy and going, okay, I can understand it, but he's also not right. And which is why Matt is a good foil for him. I don't think I've ever seen John Berthon in anything, but I know of him. He's one of the best ones to ever do it, man. He's just got such an intensity and such a love for the craft of acting, and he sells it. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. They did the remake of American Gigolo, a contemporary version of it as a 6-episode series or something. Him and Gretchen Mol. Incredible performance. Yeah, just couldn't take my eyes off him. The Accountant, Wolf of Wall Street. He's really good in The Bear, I'm told. I've seen a couple of scenes where he's in The Bear.
Oh my god, yes. What? Yeah, okay.
Strikingly. And he has a really good podcast called The Real Ones where he just interviews people that he's worked with. He's got an incredible interview with... I don't really like Pete Davidson. The only way I like Pete Davidson is when he is voicing a Transformer.
That's perfect. I love it, and I'm on board.
Yep. FYI, Rise of the Beasts, pretty fucking good. It's a pretty fucking good time. I had a good time with it, you know? And then at the end of it, spoiler alert, G.I. Joe? Like, holy shit. It's a Hasbro universe. Anyway, watch that picture. Pretty cool. I don't like Pete Davidson. He's one note. I feel like he's smug a lot of the time. He always laughs in his SNL sketches. I'm like, dude, you're a professional. Like, I don't like his stand-up. I'm just not a fan. And there's nothing against the guy. It just wasn't for me. He did an interview on John Bernthal's podcast and talked about everything he's been through, like the massive fame that he's received and dating all these Kim Kardashian and all that kind of stuff and his mental illness and everything. And it was so... He said something that really struck me. Like, he was just at his house with his girlfriend and his friends, and he was looking around and he was happy. And he was like, this feels weird. And his friend was like, why? And he said, because I'm not worried about anything. Like, nothing's wrong. And it's strange to be in that position. It just leveled him really well. And that's what John does. He just lets people talk and then and can draw stuff out of him. His interview with Shia LaBeouf is amazing as well. He's a really interesting character. And yeah, he's our generation's De Niro, I reckon.
Yeah, I can see that. He has a very small role in The Bear, but the most impactful one. I think you like the show as a whole, but I think you'll like his parts as well.
Yeah, people keep telling me about it, and it is on the list, but I can't just stop midstream. Like, sure, I'm watching other things. But yeah, I will get to it eventually.
He's insane in that role. Like after watching season 1, I was like, sure, like, because I had heard that Punisher was going to be in it. And I hadn't, like, this was like a blessing because I hadn't seen any clips from like season 2, because I had seen like clips of season 1 and like breakdowns of the hallway fight. But yeah, John Bernthal as the Punisher is one of the most intense and thought-provoking and impactful performances by him.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and there is a great. You're saying the one that's in the first one. There's a pretty good version of that in this as well, but it goes down flights of stairs, which is really cool. In order to be able to make Frank a 3-dimensional character and have it resonate what happened to him and why he makes the decisions he does, is you have to start as him as this specter, this phantom of pure destructive capability. And then you've got to break him down, and that's how you build a good character. And Bernthal's good at that because he has the access to this range of emotions that Frank would undoubtedly have as a human being. If you watch the movies or if you read the comics or whatever, he's one-dimensional in that. Yeah, the mission is all, and there's not a lot of heart there. Bernthal gave him a lot of heart. And like he is the engine of that series. Like, he is the one that's pushing things forward. Even when Fisk comes back into it, and that where Frank ends up in prison, and Fisk put him there basically, or said that he orchestrated the whole thing. And Fisk has the prison on lock. Like, he's just got that shit sorted, no worries. And that's such a great scene where he's like, this is the person who was involved directly in the murder of your parents, and I need him to die because he's making it difficult for me to do my shit in here. And if you kill him, then that's good for me and it's good for you. And then they lock it down and open all the cells, and Frank's weaponless, and he fucking absolutely murks that entire hallway of the dudes, and he's drenched in blood. He's wearing like orange or white he's prison uniform white. Anyway, yeah, and just that is one of the most brutal shits. Like, Marvel would never in a million years have the balls to do that. That if that show was on Disney Plus, if Disney Plus was the thing when Netflix started doing those shows and they got it instead, there's no fucking way they would do that. They're too soft. They aren't marketed to kids, and the Punisher is not. If you want to use that guy, you've got to have him stabbing people in the neck and shit, because that's what's up.
Yeah, I feel like especially in the prison fight, they gave him the Daredevil treatment, where like each season of Daredevil, there's this long hallway where it's everybody against this one man.
Yeah,
and you have to root for him. Yet see the horrible things that he's doing to the other people.
Yeah. That's the thing you have to do every time a new season starts. You have to test your main protagonist, and it tests Matt in a real way. Like, he's becoming more and more alienated from Foggy and Karen. He's becoming more and more disconnected from his profession. He basically just wants to be Daredevil full time. He's beat Fisk and then Switch, fucking snitched and Sticky comes back, and Elektra, and he realizes, he does that stupid thing that men do sometimes where they look back and it's all green pastures, when really if you were to go back there, like, actually it was quite fucked. And I'm just pining for something that was simpler, maybe that kind of feel. And then he sees Frank, and he sees this person who's completely free and doesn't have any hang-ups, and just is like what he wants to be. He wants to be free to be able to just fight crime and stop people in their tracks, which is why when he gives that great soliloquy of like, do we need a Frank Castle? Yeah, to test your character, and then have it all come all the way back down, to break all that down, for him to lose Stick again, for him to kind of lose the battle with Frank, and lose Foggy, and lose the law firm, and lose Karen. Like, at the end of it, he has nothing. He's broken down to the purest form of himself, and yet he chooses good, because he goes into Karen and puts the helmet down, puts the mask down. He's like, this is who I am, and I'm here, and I'm raw, and I have nothing to give. And he couldn't have done that without the influence of Frank's rawness and his ability to lose everything and keep charging forward. It's really, those characters are really sort of symbiotic of each other in whenever they have stories together, they feed off each other really beautifully.
The Punisher is there, but like, the Punisher's born at the end of this season. Like, he gets the costume, he gets his guns and all that.
And the story that gets told about him, about how he single-handedly saved an entire platoon, including Clancy Brown, the fantastic Clancy Brown. Yeah, that sort of war hero part of it. And they dig deep more into it in his show, where that's kind of a falsity as well. Like, it is true, he did do that, but, men at war and what that actually means, and valor and all that sort of old-fashioned stuff is really just killing a lot of poor people kind of situation. So they don't shy away from the fact that just because Frank was in the military doesn't necessarily mean he's a hero. He's a hero who was in the military, but there's a lot of people who aren't that, in his world, I mean.
Like, the biggest mistake or misstep for the Defenderverse of the TV shows was to not have these two characters ever interact with each other again. Because like they like, you feel how much they've learned from each other. And like, John Bernthal on the fucking rooftop at the end saying, "See you around, Red." It makes you almost cry, because you've been on this journey with this character. And in episode 2, you seem tie Daredevil to a chimney and tape a gun to his hand. It's either him or me.
Yeah, and he doesn't care. If you make that decision, I'm fully prepared to die. I'm just going to sit here with my coffee until you make that decision. And that's such a great episode. It's such an iconic image as well. Like, that's something, I don't know if it ever has been in the books, but it definitely feels like it's a comic panel of him kneeling in front of him, saying, "You think you're better than me? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, I make the hard choices. You're what does he call him? You're a half measure." And that's such a damning indictment of a superhero who chooses not to kill, because it's so true. It's like the I can't remember what I was watching. It was Peacemaker, and he was talking about, he's talking to that annoying neighbor of his dad's, and he's like, Batman's a superhero and blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, and I'm a superhero too, but I fucking kill my villain. No, do you have a cadre of supervillains like Batman? He goes, no, because I fucking kill him. Batman just puts him in prison. And I get it. How many bazillion people has the Joker killed? He's a fucking pussy. Like, there's that mentality as well of like, yeah, okay, you're fighting crime and everything, but every time one of those guys goes to jail, 4 more of them get out. You're a half measure. That's rough.
And just to, this is something that like I thought of. I don't know if it's true, but the reason why I don't like their jumping from like the Frank Castle to like the Elektra stuff.
Yep.
The reason why I don't like the Daredevil suit is because, well, okay, it's complicated because aesthetically, fuck yeah, I love it, right? But like in context of what it represents, it represents like it's the embodiment of Matt's addiction, and you see less of Matt in a suit and like in like a coat in a courtroom than you see like compared to when you see him in the Daredevil suit, because season 2 is Matt relapsing so hard that he's forgotten everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, he has his father figure telling him that, you know, going away and staying away from people, from other people, is what will make you stronger. And he does that, and it breaks him. But like his fucking idiotic ideologies still let him believe that he'll be okay. And like he's so helpless when Elektra is dying. When Stick comes in and saves her, that like it's, and by the end of it, for sure he's beaten, but he's also lost everything. He's, and like it's not that they're painting, like the makers of the show painting him in the wrong way. Matt had every chance to do what was right. He had every chance to refuse Elektra's call, but he didn't.
Yeah, he again, he was pining for the old version of himself. And yeah, Stick does say to him, he's like, you can't be the warrior you want to be if you have hang-up, if you've got these normies attached to you. And when really that is, otherwise what the fuck are we fighting for kind of situation. And Elektra's the same. Like she is on mission all the time. You see it at the end when she's in the airport and there's that guy comes to kill her. And well, not in the end, but in the middle there. And she's like flirting with him for a little bit, and then she's like, you know, like all that goes away immediately, and she's on mission again, and it's, he can't do that. Like he has a soul, whereas Stick doesn't. You know, I think Stick is a huge antagonist in this show. I don't find him to be a protagonist at all. Played wonderfully by Scott Glenn, such a slimy prick, you know, who's just bitter and angry, like. You know, like I do love the scene where they're having the ice cream and they've got the wrapper of it, and you know he's like, what do you taste? And he's like, vanilla, and he's like, no, there's cows from 3 different dairies, and it's all this kind of shit. And they've got the wrapping that the cone went in, and he turns it into a friendship bracelet, and he's like, nah, fuck you, that's the end. I'm not going to be your friend. I'm not going to be your father figure. He fucks off. And then he sees that after they have the fight in Matt's apartment, after the fact, you know, after he's grown up again. After he's become a man and they have an actual, you know, proper drag out fight and destroy all his furniture for the 3rd time in the season, he finds that thing still there. So I know that Stick does have he does care for Matt, but he's definitely driving him towards madness.
Yeah, that's not care. That's taking advantage. I wouldn't call that care.
Might even be, he might have left it there on purpose to manipulate him.
The Elektra Matt stuff is it's cool, and it's interesting to you know, and like you see Matt like kind of like you see Matt slip into like Daredevil so quickly, and you kind of see him just like embrace more and more of it, and then you kind of see him go even more crazy with Elektra in it, like with Elektra by his side. Like I think I messaged you twice. I messaged my other friend as well. I was like, these two are dangerous, like immensely dangerous for each other.
They're enablers, and that's what happens when you get 2 addicts together. The problem only compounds. You know, what you need is a stabling, you know, and that's what he lets go, like Foggy and Karen and his life. Even Frank, to a certain degree, like he could have represented Frank properly and been involved, you know, and still had the way that he feels about being a criminal, or, you know, as a vigilante, not reflect so hard in Frank and have it be, no, you are one thing and I am another. Like he could be as sure as Frank is. You know what I mean? And he's not. He's so conflicted about what he's doing all the time. If he wasn't that, if he wasn't being manipulated, if he wasn't having this kind of, you know, nostalgia for a person that he isn't anymore anyway. Like when the flashback when they break into those people's house and she's there and it's the person who killed his dad. That's someone saying, I'm going to quit drinking today, and then you come home and that person has bought you a 6-pack of beer, you know. The person who, oh no, I'm going to drink, so you should drink as well. Like, I'm not saying that that's something that's happened to me because of my history with drinking. That never happened, but just that enabling, you know. Yeah, it's such a good TV. It really is a TV show, a season of TV show rather. It's really, really rich. There's so much character stuff going on. Hey, buddy. Hi. Sorry, Paul's come back to visit again. He's a staple on the show. Hey, mate. You get so much out of it from multiple watches. There's things you didn't see, or there's things that pop out, and moments like the moment of Frank clocking that Matt's Daredevil when he's doing his summation in court. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's what that look is. He's totally gets it, and it just makes it, you know, what Frank has to do even easier, because he's kind of rubbing it in Matt's face going, oh, you think you're helping me? Don't even worry about it, man. I've got myself sorted. You know, he's so confident. Yeah, just absolutely brilliant. Yeah, some of the hand stuff is a little bit, oh, what are we doing here? Why is this happening? But you get to see a bunch of cool ninja fights, like when they break into the hospital.
That's true. Also, yeah, the weird thing that happened with me was I watched episode 1, and episode 1 starts, and like this is a credit to the show and how well this is structured. That it made. I'll tell you what happened. I watched episode 1, but like at the end of it, Matt is shot in the head by Frank Castle.
A lot. You know what I mean? Like he's shot in the head a lot, like point blank. Not a lot as in a lot of bullets. I mean, just like it was aggressive.
Yeah, like the motherfucker flies off the fucking building.
Yeah, as you would. He should put a magnum in his face, for crying out loud. He's lucky he didn't aim like, you know, a few centimeters lower and get him in the mouth. But then again, the guy who makes his costume says, geez, you're pretty lucky. If it was anywhere else, he would have died. Well, that's Frank knowing where to shoot, you know, because he doesn't know who this person is. He doesn't know if he's innocent or not.
And so I watched that, and then I like somehow skipped to episode 10.
What?
And so episode 10 is when Frank breaks out of prison. And so, like, in my head, it was that this fucker has come at night and, like, terrorized the city. And then the next thing you see is, like, this news breaking of Frank Castle and who he is and, like, what's happened. That's why I asked you, is there something I missed? Because everybody knew who Frank Castle was?
Yeah. It's and also he then sort of is presumed dead at the end of the season, and then when his show starts, he's grown a beard and he's working as a construction worker, and he's going by Frank Castanelli or something like that. And then it's not until like the middle of that season that people see that he's who he is again, and they're like, oh my god, Frank Castle's still alive. But yeah, it's that must have been really fucking confusing.
It wasn't though, which is the point, because like you see like Frank coming to Karen's apartment and saying I didn't do it, and it painted Frank in an innocent way.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense for me in the sense that everybody knew who he was, and I didn't. And so I went back and like, okay. So I missed literally 10 episodes.
Whoops. That's quite important. In a comic, it's not as important. Like, you can pick up a comic and kind of catch up and kind of stuff, but with a TV, it's a bit different. Just before we wrap up, Frank and Karen's relationship is so great because she's the only one who really gets it. She's pulled the trigger. She knows what it's like to feel vulnerable and then have the result of that be violence. There's something going on there where it's kind of, there's an attraction going on, but Frank's so dead to that it's like a sister sort of thing, or maybe it's not anything. Maybe it's not. You can't put any relationship that we understand onto it. You know, there's no specifics to it, but there's something. They have a kinship that's so particular to them, and it plays again in Punisher, the TV series, with both of them. I just love it because she's the one least likely. You know.
Yeah, true. I also I didn't take that as like as an attraction per se. I took that as like fascination. How Karen's fascinated a lot by Daredevil in season 1. I think what Frank does fills that role.
Yeah, sure. I just some of the times they were in a scene together, it was a little bit sexy, but maybe that's because it's John Bernthal and Deborah fucking Wall. Just too good. Just, you know, such a great season of TV, and I'm excited to have them all back again. What were some of your favourite moments from this season? Because there's a lot.
Matt discovering that there's a giant hole in Hell's Kitchen, even though it like didn't make any sense, didn't go anywhere. It just like the stunned expression that Charlie Cox gave in the fucking mask as well.
He's great. Like, that's another thing we didn't really talk about last episode, or this episode really. Everybody's really, really good. Like, you know, they're at top of their game. Yeah, the acting is peak. Like, it's some of the best acting I've ever seen in the Marvel universe, or any TV series that's a drama, especially with the addition of Bernthal. Like, it raises everybody up. Everybody's at the next level. So cool. Yeah. So what's another one? Give me two more.
It's so hard. It's so hard not to pick the line of "See you around, Red."
Mm. You can though.
Like that conversation of like the last day of Foggy being at Nelson Murdoch, and like packing up, and like Foggy tells Matt to look into the underground tunnels, and Matt says that's really good work. Foggy says that's what I do, and like them talking about maybe giving it a second chance, but Matt's too far gone. Like,
and he knows it as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much recovery, which is a lot of about what the third season's about, is about recovery. And whereas, you know, we talk about this one being more about addiction.
Yeah, Foggy's great.
He is. He's such a great character. I like him a lot. Because you need that. You need the sounding board. You need the voice of reason for these guys who are just fucking out there.
Yeah. Also, motherfucker gets shot in episode 10, like at the DA's office
when they're framing Frank. Yeah.
Also, like, again, Vincent D'Onofrio is in this season for like 2 episodes.
Yeah, thereabouts.
And he's doing the exact same thing that he wanted to do with Daredevil in season 1, which is to frame him for all the shit that he was doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And he does it. He tries to do it with Frank. He lets him out, and then he tries to frame him.
It's you know, if something works, it's that's why there's, you know, a land grab scheme in both Superman 78 and Superman Returns. And
yeah, oh my god, dude! Like the way he gets up and just beats Matt like on the table is so brutal.
Mm.
Like I was talking to a friend of mine. And
Beats Frank, you mean? In the prison?
No.
Oh, sorry. When Matt goes in to see him. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think the episode after that.
And he doesn't know he's Daredevil either. He's just a fucking annoying lawyer.
Yeah, he finds out after that episode when he says, "I want to take another look at his files," because it like he knows Matt's Daredevil in season 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see Fisk try and do the framing thing again in season 3, and this like the season 1, season 2 are brilliant. Season 3's peak.
I'm looking forward to getting back into it, actually, getting a chance to rewatch, because I haven't gone back since it aired. For some reason, I always get past season 2 and then stop because I know I've got to watch Defenders again. And not that that's bad. it's you know.
To be honest, though, I don't think you have to.
I kind of know what happens anyway. I reckon I could probably jump through, but I just love me some Daredevil, so I want to get as much as I can.
Yeah.
What was your third thing, if you had one?
It's a tie between Matt cradling the body of Electra on the rooftop, and Matt showing the mask to Karen.
What a great way to end your series. Like, talk about getting people's interest peaked for the next season or for the next show. Yeah, such a great cliffhanger series in the way that comics have cliffhangers. You get to turn that last page and there's a big reveal and you're like, holy shit, a month? I've got to wait a month? Just incredible. Okay, who's this now? Is this the same Paul? Hello again. If I leave my door shut, he just whinges at the door, so I've got to leave it open, but it just means we get a visit occasionally. Yeah, cool. For me, they're mostly Frank moments, honestly. The moment where he locks that door and turns around to take out the guy who's peddling kiddie porn. So satisfying. And Bernthal's performance is so steely, cold resolve. Like, I just love it. He's just so threatening the way that Frank should be. That kind of break him down a little bit too much in his own show. Like, if anything, he almost has too much dialogue, you know, like it's, I need this person to be a leviathan, this moving beast that just goes through and enacts vengeance. I don't necessarily need him to fucking explain everything he's doing. That's sort of, you know, the thing. The line of, you know, when he's on the rooftop and says, you know, you're a half measure. When you hit guys, they get back up. When I hit them, they stay down. And just he sells it. There's so much conviction in what he's saying. Like, Bernthal clearly identifies with this character, or can identify with him in a way that other actors haven't been able to read, or haven't had the time to as well, because he had you know, episodes upon episodes to do it. And yeah, and the reveal at the end of Matt saying to Karen, I have nothing left. I'm completely broken and I'm completely raw and I'm completely alone. I need something. Like, there's nothing more than, like I said, we're talking about last episode about, you know, the first thing Batman does when he becomes Batman is ask for help. Like, when a hero asks for help, especially one that's so solitary and so repressed like Matt, for him to say to Karen, I need you, it's so humanizing. I love it. Just it makes you excited about narrative dramas, makes you excited about good storytelling. It's it's perfect.
Hell yeah, man.
Beautiful. Daredevil season 2, everyone. Let's be frank, it's probably the best shit you'll ever see. Go and check it out on Disney Plus again, streaming in 4K. Do a rewatch before Born Again comes out, at the very least. And we'll be back in a few weeks to talk about season 3. But in the meantime, do we have any questions for this week?
We do.
Or are they all Daredevil related again?
We've got 4 more questions.
4 more questions. The questions these.
So, number 1, did you enjoy John Bernthal's portrayal of Punisher as much as I did? I loved it. It's perfect casting by 1.
Yeah, absolutely 1. It's it is perfect casting. It's one of those ones you go, oh, of course. He even looks like it. Like, if you look at the old Tim Bradstreet covers that he used to do for Punisher when they were doing the Max series, like the really like super adult version of Punisher that Garth Ennis was writing in the early 2000s, it looks like him. Military haircut and everything, like, right on. The only thing is John Bernthal's a bit bulkier. That's it. So yeah, it's absolutely perfect. And, you know, if you want to hear us fucking suck Punisher's dick, just listen to the last hour and you'll get an idea of what's going on. So yeah, loved it.
Alright, question 2. What film franchise needs way more sex?
What film franchise needs way more sex?
Yeah.
Oh, have you got a minute? Fuck, I've got a whole bunch for you. The Marvel Cinematic Universe needs some sexuality at the very least. But you know what needs serious fucking? Lord of the Rings. Seriously, because it'd be cross-gender, cross-species. Like, it would be the most... not species as in people are having sex with animals, but just like, you know, elves having sex with humans and orcs having sex with nymphs and jinn having sex. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a sexy old time. It could be fucking Sodom and Gomorrah, actually. Like, enjoy yourselves, you know? That would be my pick. Lord of the Rings. Or Hunger Games. Like, why aren't more people in Hunger Games going, this is the end times, let's just fucking take our pants off and just 69 until we get shot in the back of the head by another teenager?
True. And, like, the fact that those are like young adult novels. It's like
Why not?
you gotta have a little bit at least.
Yeah, come on. Erections just fucking everywhere. Be throng with them. You know how they drop, like when they go 3, 2, 1 and go, and some people run and go and try and get supplies, and some people run off. If you run and go and get supplies, there's no knives or bombs or mace or anything like that that's of use to you in the realm of combat. No, there's fucking lube and not that you really need to worry about connies if you're all going to get killed anyway, but you know what I mean. Lube and ball gags and anal beads and fucking butt plugs and all sorts of just an absolute cornucopia of sexual tryst.
So if Deadpool remade their
You call it the Thirsty Games. Fucking slam dunk. Still fucking dunks. That was a good gag. Welcome to the Thirsty Games. All of you need to lube up to the max. Fucking hell. Sorry, you were going to say something and I had that brain fart.
that would be the case if Deadpool made the Hunger Games movies.
Yeah, right. If he breaks into that franchise, absolutely. Be fucking pansexuality everywhere.
The Avatar movies, because I'm curious.
With the blue people one?
Yep.
Yeah, they do it with tails. Or sucking tails off.
What?
I don't know. It's again, we were really serious because we love this show, so we're like really serious and in-depth talk about Punisher and what it means, and you know, drama and storytelling and themes, and then all of a sudden I'm talking about fucking getting dildoed and eating muff, eating blue muff. You know, I'm gonna stop doing this. I'm doing like as if everybody who can't see because this is a podcast. I'm doing the action as if I have 2 blue penises in my face and I'm jerking them both off at the same time, like I'm spinning plates. Good call on both counts, though. What was question number 3 for crying out loud? God help us.
Oh, also, the Spider-Man movies, because like have Silken, please, for fuck's sake, and have Peter and Silk fuck. Like,
why not? Why not? What's stopping you?
It also makes like the most sense biologically because they were bitten by the same radioactive spider.
It comes together, and maybe they will too. Who knows?
Yeah, like have them like aggressively fuck and have have Mary Jane walk in. And,
oh no!
Have the context of like Peter not being as intimate with Mary Jane as much as like he is with Cindy Moon because of that spider connection.
Yep.
And like have that be like the
incredible
the character crux of the trilogy.
That's perfect for me. That's perfect. There you go. Are you listening, Kevin Feige? Fucking hell. Amy Pascal, you'd love that. What's question number 3, please?
What star would you like to see a comic book movie steal from Asia next?
Chaz. That's my man, Chaz. That's kind of the same question he asked before. Oh, like a Gundam movie, you know, like with giant robots and shit. Like, there's got to be a way to do that within the Marvel Universe. We got the Hulkbuster armor. That's about as close as we got. But yeah, like a big Evangelion kind of, you know, situation. Yeah, that would be my pick. What about you?
Probably like a Kingdom musical.
Yeah, right on. You could do it Bollywood style, or you could do sort of K-pop style as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that could work. There's some K-pop. I've had to watch a lot of K-pop recently because I'm researching a job where the artist is like, I want to do stuff like this, and she's shown me all this stuff. And yeah, man, it's got an aesthetic, that's for sure. All right,
let's go.
Question the 4th and final question.
What IP could benefit from taking the Daredevil approach?
As in, like, having it be more of a grounded, like, series. I've said this half a dozen times on the podcast before. They need to do a TV series based on DC's The Question, and just base it 100% on the Denny O'Neil run from the 1980s. I've got an omnibus of it sitting right there. It's one of the best comics you'll ever read. It's street level. It's noir. It's down and dirty. It's about martial arts and Taoism and Buddhism, and it's just It's one of the sickest shits you'll ever see. Like, it would be an amazing film. It would be an even better series because it's just such a dense story to tell. So yeah, The Question. Check it out.
I don't have an answer for that.
No?
I
Nightwing probably be a good one too.
True. But I will always protest against a Nightwing film because Nightwing as a series will always make more sense to me. Like that story needs to be told that way.
They tried to do it in the Titans show, but it didn't work. It's just like not in the way that you want for a solo Nightwing story anyway.
Yeah, the problem with the Titans show was it was called the Titans, but they were too obsessed with it being Nightwing and friends.
Yeah, very much so. And that's fine. That show was what it was, and that's all good. But yeah, there's definitely a street level, broken down, simple version of Nightwing that you could do, which is very much like Daredevil. Just wouldn't be as serious because Nightwing's a much more positive character, but you could still do it the sort of same way.
The mythos of Nightwing actually leads perfectly with, especially this season, because you could have the Red Hood be stand-in for Punisher.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's the season 2. Absolutely, that's a great idea. There we go. Sold, everybody, sold. So that's it. We're all done. Season 2, Daredevil. Do go and check it out. Thank you so much for listening again. We really, really do appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying the more regular fortnightly episode drops. We're certainly having a great time putting them together. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time with the main man, Tommy, from Podcast Assemble. We're going to be talking about Dune Part 2, which is apparently the most epic shit ever. It's got like fucking 99% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. It's best scores, critic scores of any movie ever, which is incredible. So looking forward to checking that one out. But in the meantime, Addy, you're delicious. I just want to spread you on a cracker and have you with some herbs and tomatoes. I don't know. You were pate all of a sudden in my head. I don't even eat pate. Anyway, I love you.
I love you too. I love your glorious, beautiful hair.
It is absolutely lush today, is it not? I've been boxing with a beanie on here. Yeah, thanks so much for going out of your way to watch these and for doing a show on them, because it really scratched an itch for me. I rewatched them end of last year, start of this year, and it's got a big place in my heart. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks, and remember,
stay amazing, stay safe, and see you around, Red.